How you doing, folks? Got another video for you. Conflict of Heroes. World War II Wargaming. Operation Barbarossa, 1941. This is by Academy Games, which makes some really good games, actually. I think there's 3 games in this series. The Conflict of Heroes series. This is Awakening the Bear and covers basically, well, Operation Barbarossa, 1941. East Front action. But they also have one for Kursk, which covers the mid-war era. Lots of tank battles and stuff going on in that one. And they have one for the Pacific Theater as well. And I believe one for the invasion of Poland. Kind of a blitzkrieg era version of the game. And they're fantastic games. Great fun. And I've yet to actually show this off. And this is the second time I've bought this game. I enjoyed it so much. This is the second edition. And £5, over £5, folks, of goodness in this pretty big box, as you can see. Let's take a look at the back and see what's in this bad boy. You can see some of the details. 2 to 4 players, but we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. 13 plus, 1 to 3 hours to play. I've played just about all the scenarios in this game. And, well, you know what? Let's break it open and see just what we're looking at. I haven't opened this up in a long time, so this will be interesting. And this is everything in the box. Awakening the Bear Firefight book. I believe this is the scenarios. Nice little booklet here. How many pages are we looking at? 20 pages of scenarios for Operation Barbarossa. Now, keep in mind this is a tactical game. Each counter represents a squad or a half squad. I'm not sure. I think it's a squad. Not sure what the scale is. But this is the layout of a typical scenario, as you can see. You got your map layout, the game length, as well as the units involved, and reinforcements if and when they show up, any special rules, victory points, and of course little historical stuff like the aftermath. It's very similar to, say, ASL, the way they lay out their scenarios, if you've seen some of those. This is kind of similar. Of course, it's more colorful, as you can see here. And what was that, 15 scenarios? Pretty good. I'm not sure I played that one. I played quite a few of them. And there's a lot of units in there. That's also a look at some of the counters that you'll see and some of the map boards, what they look like. Very similar to ASL in that respect, although the game rules are not similar. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. But I really want to show this off because I've had it for so long. I've never done a video on it. Oh, 16 scenarios. There you go. Belvic Valley. So yeah, there is your Awakening the Bear Firefight book. Basically scenarios. A little overview of Operation Barbarossa, about the invasion, and so on and so forth. Next, we have the Conflict of Heroes Rulebook, 2nd edition, Awakening the Bear, Operation Barbarossa. This is your rulebook. 23 pages, not bad at all. You get your little index in the back, and I believe this is a manifest. That's nice. Also a manifest and description of the cards, and we'll talk about that as well. Here's some of the stuff you can get for it. Firefight Generator. There is a expansion that allows you to actually make your own firefights or scenarios. What else have we got here? We've got the solo expansion, which I'll briefly look at that because I do have that. That's one of the strong points of this game. It has a really unique solo system, really well thought out. I know some of my friends say it's probably the best solo experience they've had in wargaming, playing this system. But we'll see. I've actually played this game without the solo supplement, and I have had no problems with that. Let's see. Very similar layout to the way the game is learned. If you're used to squad leader, the starter kits, this is a very similar format. They teach you only the rules you need to learn to jump into the first scenario. So you don't need to learn everything. In fact, I think it's color-coded in here where it tells you you're all set. You can move on to the first scenario, and then you read the next section and go to the next scenario, that kind of thing. The only drawback is this is a glossy rule book. All the booklets in here are kind of glossy, so you will get some shine, like right there, going on, which can be a pain when you're reading it under a bright light. It can be an issue. I don't mind too much, but I don't like glossy paper, to be sure. But let's see. Action cards, section 2. We can see down here. You are ready. You are now ready to play firefight number 1, the first scenario. Play this firefight before continuing on with the rules. So you see right there, you only have to read about 9 pages of rules, and you can jump right in. And that first scenario is basically infantry. And everything it talks about here is about the terrain, the layout, how to move units, how to use command points, how to shoot, how to resolve shooting, and so on and so forth. The next section kind of goes into the use of cards, making group actions, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into the rules heavily here. And hidden movement, steep terrain. And here we are right here. You're now ready to play firefights 4 and 5. So I must have skipped ahead a little bit. Let's see. You're now ready to play firefight 3. So you can see how it works. The way you learn this game is very similar. You don't have to learn a lot of rules to go into the next scenario. So I like that. I really enjoy that about this game. And in fact, it's my favorite way of learning a game. The starter kits for ASL is same thing. You know, you read what you need to read and you play. Or in the case of the starter kits for ASL, you pretty much read just the rules in the starter kit and you're good to go in the first scenario. There's no need to break up the rules into sections like this does, where you read a section. This, in effect, gives you all the rules you need, broken up into sections, so that you can play the scenarios one at a time in order, and each one teaches you something. And the starter kits in ASL, you basically read the entire rulebook, 12 pages, and then you jump into the scenarios. But there's only 12 pages of rules. Anyway, this is about Conflict of Heroes. Here's Storm of Steel. That's the Kursk one. I believe this is out now. I'm not sure. I've been waiting on this for a long time. And some of their other games and such. So yeah, there is that. And then you get 2 of each of these play sheets. As you can see here, Conflict of Heroes Awakening the Bear summary sheet. There's a summary of all the things you can do, as well as a nice section on what these values are on each of the counters. That's really useful. And the terrain effects, and so on and so forth. Movement, defense modifiers, so on and so forth. Fortifications and smoke, that's all covered in here as well. And there's 2 of these. These are used during the gameplay itself. Each player gets one of these. You keep track of the turns, or rounds as they're called. And you can see there's about 6 rounds in a game session in this case. Could be more. Each player will keep track of their victory points, their use and expenditure of command points, otherwise called caps. That's how they activate units and stuff on the battlefield to do things. And then unit action points. Once a unit is activated, it spends its action points to do things like move and shoot and all that stuff. So, yeah, each player gets one of these. One for the Russians and one for the Germans. Now we're looking at the map boards. And let's set this aside for a second. Hopefully we won't get too much glare. I'm going to have to move this over here and kind of show you. These are, let's see, they're folded here. Let me find the opening here so I can show you guys. It didn't take me long enough. But yeah, they all open up to about this size. That's pretty big. That's about 1.5 by 1.5 feet, something like that. Probably a little bigger than that. Just for one board. And of course, these can be folded and you can have a half board as well. These are hard board. Should point that out. Nice glossy background. But yeah. So these are mounted map boards and they look fantastic. Let's get a little bit of a close-up there. There's even shadows there. You can see the sun shining through between the trees. Fantastic. This game's been around for quite a while, actually. I mean, look at the shadows here. Look at that. Beautiful. And it does actually have a digital version. You can play this on your computer. I've played that too. And it plays just like the board game and very enjoyable. And they've got all kinds of expansions to that as well. But this is about the board game. Just look at that. Nice. So you get a bunch of these boards. That's one. Looks like there's about 5 of them here. I won't open them all up, but give you an idea. Look at that. You could just make out the hexes there. They're not fully drawn in hexes. They're kind of like harder to see there in the middle. That's intentional. They're trying to kind of disguise the hexes, and it works really well. You can see the elevations. The hills here actually have some depth. You can see the slopes. And of course, you can see where the sun is shining. That is really cool. Look at that. Get a close-up of the fields there. Man, look at that detail. These are some of the best maps I've seen. A lot of that is because they're showing, the shadows and stuff in the ground. There's a building there. You got some cows grazing there. That's pretty great. And all 5 maps are very similar like this. You got some more hilly terrain there. Nice path. And we're going to show this one as well. And yeah, let's flip this. I got some more buildings there. Look at that. It's like doing a flyover in a plane. Fantastic. You can see the lumber laying about, all the different fields. That is just epic. I love it. And one more. This one has some more buildings on it. This one looks like it's more rural here. Urban. Well, they're all pretty much urban and rural. There's no big, heavy cities here. But there is kind of here, actually. Look at all that. And you get more over here. Nice little urban area. All right, so there's that. Now, let's look at the rest of the box here. Won't get too much glare going on. One of the nice things about this, and I pointed this out with GMT's Death Valley, they actually included counter trays. This not only gives you a counter tray, we got some spillage here, but it's organized so that you can organize exactly what is where, and they're not just thrown in. They're actually organized like this, you can see, and they all mean something. So you know what is in here and what is in here, and you just take out what you need. Of course, I haven't touched this in over a year, so some of them kind of plopped out. And it's got a lid here to keep them from getting mixed. As you can see, if I can pop this off. And this is the version I have. I believe this is the most current, so you're going to get very similar to this, if not the same exact thing. And look at these counters here. They're very thick. Just look at that. Very thick. They're not like the typical GMT or the squad leader, advanced squad leader counters. These are like at least twice as thick. And they're big. These are like 1 inch. I would say they're about 1 inch. I don't know the exact size. They're definitely not 3/4. I'll have to look at the back of the box. But there you got a little wagon there. Got little stats for it and everything. And they slip in here and you take out what you need. If you're better organized than me, this will be a lot easier to navigate. I got stuff all over the place. And all the counters are the same regarding thickness and quality. Double-sided in this case. And you do get some dice with this. I'm not sure if you get 4 or 2, but I have some in here. These actually look like mine. I don't know. These actually might come with the game. I know you get dice with it. I'm not sure these are exactly the ones. And you can see here you get some cards. We're going to take a look at these. And I got these in card sleeves, little protectors. One of the great things about this game is both players are going to be utilizing cards during the game. These give them special abilities during their turn that they can play on their units, or I believe opposing units as well. Here's one called Follow Me, Automatic Rally. Cost 2 AP/cap. Automatically rally a unit even if in close combat. There's a little coding going on here as well. This is a fun aspect of the game, the cards. I really enjoy that. And like I said earlier, I've played this solo, just the core game. And this is tricky because your hands of cards are secret from each other. So it's a little tricky playing solo. Nothing to worry too much about. You still have a good game, even if you know what the opponent has, or you come up with some of your own mechanical idea to randomly draw cards for the opposition and stuff, and at least put a little unpredictability into the gameplay. Take one free action of any cost with any unit. Now, for hardcore grognards, World War II, ASL fans, this game might not cut it in terms of the detail. This is a detailed game, and it plays out really smooth, and it's a very fun game, fast-moving game. I think it was 1 to 3 hours per game, I believe it was. So yeah, you get the idea. But folks, even if you're an ASL fan, this game is not going to be a headache to learn. You can sit down and play with your friend or your family member. If you got a family member that wargames with you, you are blessed. But still, you can sit down and have a good game, and they'd probably enjoy the experience themselves. It's very fun. And it's the kind of game where you use your command points, your caps, to activate units, and then those units spend their action points to do things. Basically, to move is literally one hex at a time. And it's very enjoyable, very interesting, and I think it's pretty darn realistic. The way it plays, anyway. It feels realistic, and how a game feels is just as important as how it actually plays with all the technical detail and such. So yeah, very fun game. Good feel for the history of the period, or this particular campaign specifically. You won't use all these cards and when you're just learning the game. Some of them add artillery support and that sort of thing. And scale-wise, you're basically a platoon, maybe a company commander. I'm not sure if it goes up that high, but you're definitely commanding squads on the boards, moving them about, and trying to capture enemy positions or secret papers. You know, it's got a cool feel to it in terms of the scenarios. They could be very specific like that, and you feel like you're watching a dramatic moment in some war flick or something. Yeah, it's pretty cool that way. Yeah. And by the way, D6s. I'm sure you noticed that as I showed them off. And there's counters here to keep track of victory points, command points, and APs. You put them on those little boards that I showed before, and you slip them around to keep track of things. These are the Russians, by the way. The Germans have the Iron Cross symbol. So very cool. And if it wasn't for ASL, I'd probably be deeper into this game. There's a lot of great board games for World War II. This is just another one. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's a very enjoyable game. And if you haven't tried it and you're looking for something a little different, go for it. This is a worthy game to add to your collection. And I definitely have to sort these out once I turn off the video. So there you go, folks. You get 5 of these beautiful maps. Absolutely fantastic map boards. Let's take another look. In fact, just look at that. Look at that good stuff. And that's that. I hope to get some more games of this in. I'd like to actually play with some of the solo stuff that I bought. And in fact, let's take a quick look at that right now. Grab it for you. Here it is. Conflict of Heroes Eastern Front Solo Expansion. And here's a look at the back if you want to read that. I've never used this. I'm not exactly sure what is in here. I think I did definitely open it. Yes, I did. Or no, I don't know. Not sure what that was. So you're getting some booklets. One of these turn markers. Again, this is for playing solo. Did a bunch of these counters, which I've never really looked at too much. I obviously punched it. Another thing about the counters in this game, high quality. They do have rounded corners. These are not crappy counters, so they're not going to look ragged. And man, you don't have to clip them. Imagine that. Get some of these little silica. Keep things fresh, I guess. You get a bunch of cards. Doesn't seem to be much else in here. Well, that's it. If there was anything else, I probably pulled it out and put it somewhere else, but I don't think. I've actually put these in card protectors already, and I haven't even read it. So these cards pretty much are what runs the game. So you can see these aren't like the cards I showed off earlier. These are for solo gaming, and they have all kinds of information on there that tells you how to, tells you what the AI does, really. So let's take a quick look at the rule book. Solo rules, and you also get a solo missions book, and give you an idea what they look like. No new map boards, just uses the core set. And there's a campaign system, I guess. That's nice. Well, you guys want to see me play this game, let me know. I wouldn't mind jumping into this. I got so many things going on. It actually shows the counters on the board. Is it deployment? Not sure. But, wait, let me look real quick. How many scenarios are we looking at? There's campaign missions. Campaign 1. I guess it's all a campaign. Solo mission 4. Solo mission 3. Then it goes into campaign 1, mission 1. Campaign 1, mission 2. Campaign 2, mission 2. Well, that is mega cool. I like that. So that's what you get there. And the rule book for this specifically is 15 pages with the index and some Q&A, I guess. That's a link to the other page. And yeah, so it's about 14 pages of actual rules. This is an example. So there's like 5 pages of example in the back. Let's go to the beginning here. Solo game overview. Talks about the cards. Right there. This looks good. Plenty of examples. Full color, color-coded text. Examples are in red. I can see that. I believe it talks about the color coding in here, at least in the main rule book. Like there's the blue text, black text, which is useful. Artificial intelligence. So yeah, there you go. That's a quick look at Conflict of Heroes, the solo expansion. And we're not going to go any further with that because I really just wanted to show the system off to you guys because I've never done that. And let me know what you guys think. ASL is kind of like my thing, but this I've played. I have had a lot of good fun with it. Very enjoyable. This is something I would probably take over my nephews and just set it up and play. I mean, he hasn't played any board games since he was a teenager, but I think he'd enjoy this. Good memories with Squad Leader back then, and this is kind of along the same line as that. I'm not sure I'd bring some ASL to his house, and that's a pretty intense game session usually, depending on whether it's a starter kit or not. But yeah, this is something I'd be glad to show off. So there you go, folks. A lot of goodness. This is Conflict of Heroes, Awakening the Bear, and I'd like to get the others, especially the Pacific one, and the Tides of Iron, Steel Tide. Oh God, I can't think of the name. It's the one about Kursk. I'd like to get that one as well. I have a big interest in that. So there you go, folks. Conflict of Heroes, Awakening the Bear. Great game. Recommend it after I've played it many times. I do recommend it as a good game of moderate intensity with the rules. It's great fun, high quality components, a lot of historical feel to it. It's not ASL, but this is pretty good anyway. Tell me what you think, folks. Like, share, subscribe, all that goodness. You want to see more of this? If you want me to do any more videos on this, gameplays, let me know. I'll be sure to crack it out and have a game or two. Tell me what you think, folks. And remember, hang in there. It's only going to get better. Take care, folks.